Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the DunnWisdom Morning Show. I am your host, Melissa P. Dunn, CEO of MD Marketing Network and the founder of this DunnWisdom movement. I invite you to join me for a minute. I'm going to play that music again, just a quick 30 seconds of grounding ourselves to prepare our minds and our hearts to receive the lesson that I'm going to be teaching today. So I invite you, wherever you are, obviously not if you're driving, but just take a deep breath. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale one more time. Exhale again. Let's prepare our minds and our hearts to receive the lesson that I'm going to be teaching today. As you know, with this DunnWisdom movement, we really work to bring you lessons and introduce you to people that will help you to really step fully into your greatness and learn from others who have done the same thing, particularly women who are getting it done in life and in business. And today's lesson is on how to navigate challenging times. Now, the truth is that life sometimes can be like a river. I mean, seriously. Sometimes it's calm, sometimes you have bumps and bruises, ups and downs. This is the nature of life, you know? One of my favorite authors has a book called The Seat of the Soul. I'm just forgetting his name here. Where's the book? Seat of the Soul. Well, anyways, so in The Seat of the Soul, he refers to the earth as a school, right? Where we're all here to learn things. We're all here to expand, to really step into the highest version, the best version of who we are. And so the journey of this life, sometimes, you know, it has twists and turns. I mean, who in a million years could have predicted the pandemic? This is a global, massive twists and turns that's affecting all of us around the world as a collective. And so today's tips really are I'm going to endeavor to share with you some ways for you to be more resilient, for you to really live life a little bit more unconditionally, so that when these twists and turns happen, that you are so deeply rooted, you're so fortified, you are so still that you can still feel peace, you can still feel joy, you can still feel freedom, you can still feel abundance despite what's happening on your job, despite what's happening in your marriage, despite what's happening in your community or in our country. You can still be centered, you can still be focused, you can still be productive, you can still be abundant, and you can still, more importantly, be who you truly are. So I'm inviting you to share this video so that your friends and your families can join us together in this lesson, can join the conversation. As I go through the lesson, if you have any questions or comments, please do type them in the chat. I'd love to, you know, you guys are are also my audience and my co-host. All right, so listen. A couple of months ago, I was in California. I think I told you about that last week, about how I was afraid of the water. I was afraid to swim. I was deathly afraid of really going in the water. And last week, I shared how to overcome fear and how I overcame my fear by learning how to swim and by jumping off of a cliff. For me, it felt like a cliff. Somebody else, it might feel like a rock, but it felt like a cliff to me. But diving into the deep waters, and I also mentioned that I went whitewater rafting, right? Well, listen, this is the water. that I went whitewater rafting in. So you can see that in certain areas, it's kind of smooth, but in other areas, it's not so smooth, right? And that's the way life is sometimes. So here's my question for you. How do you get through, or how do you kind of get into who you are when you are in choppy waters? Well, the first thing really is for you to be clear about your purpose, for you to be clear about your why, and let that be your guiding force. Let that be your anchor, right? So I want you to take out a sheet of paper right now, and I want you to write what you believe your purpose is, what you believe your why is. If you're watching this on the replay, this is the perfect time for you to pause this video and do this exercise, right? Who are you meant to be? What is your purpose? What is your contribution in this world? What is your why? For some of you, your why is your children. That's the thing that keeps you getting up every morning and going to work, going to a job that you may or may not like. For some of you, your why is your family, right? So you got to be clear about what your why is, so that when things happen, you have that to hold on to as your anchor. You have that to fuel you. You have that to push you forward when your client is not paying their invoice. When, you find out that your job is about to lay people off, you have something to hold on to when times get rough. So get clear about your why, get clear about your purpose, and let that be your anchor. Let that be your guiding force. That will take you through plenty of challenge, plenty of things that are really challenging in your life, right? And listen, this is me in the boat, and I want you to notice the amount of rocks that are on the bank of this river right here, right? You will see the areas that are in white here in this picture. That's because there's a rock under the water. There is a rock under the water, and sometimes that's how life is. Sometimes things are not quite on the surface, they're really under the water, so they make it kind of choppy and difficult for you to navigate. So I want you to be clear about who's in your boat with you. Who's in your boat? Who is a part of your team, right? You see, that's the boat right there, and I have several people in there with me. I have a guide who knows the river really well, and he's able to tell us, go to the right, go to the left, row this way, row that way. And he's able to guide us through the process. And then we had in the very front of the boat, 2 people who've done this river before, so they're familiar with it. And then I had myself and my really, really good, amazing friend, Victoria, right? So you got to be clear about who's in your boat. Is it somebody that's supporting you? Is it someone that's draining your energy? Is it someone that is filling you up every time you're around them? You feel good, they're sharpening you, it's iron sharpening iron kind of situation. Or is it a friend or a family member that's draining your energy? So you got to be clear about who is in your boat, right? Look at that. That's who was in my boat in this river, white river walk. This was who was in the boat with me. I felt very comfortable. I felt very safe. I felt very protected. I felt very guided. And sometimes you got to know that. And then the other thing you got to ask yourself is who's sharing your who's steering your ship? Who is steering your ship? For me, my God, my God, my God. That's my anchor, my source, my God. That is my anchor. That's who keeps me guided, right? And I remember being on that boat that sometimes when we're coming up to a really big rock, I could feel fear welling up inside of me. But then I heard the calm voice of the gentleman that was guiding the ship. And he was like, okay, go this way, go that way. And that calming voice, that still presence, that kept me calm. It kept me focused. And it kept me having a good time so that I could allow the energy of fun to permeate the experience, right? And it's the same thing with life. All of us have that guiding voice deep inside of ourselves. So allow that to be your anchor. Allow that to help to steer the ship. And I tell you, you can experience, even in the midst of troubles, even in the midst of trials and tribulations, even in the midst of self-doubt, of difficulties, of financial difficulties, you can still navigate your way through the choppy waters. You can still find a reason to smile even when it feels bumpy, even when it feels like you are about to drown any second. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is called unconditional living. Knowing that you know that you know that everything always works out for your highest good. Knowing that you know that you know that everything you touch will prosper and bloom, knowing who you are, whose you are, and why you are on this planet, why you are contributing, that truly will take you through some of the choppiest waters in life. And then the other thing I want you to ask yourself is, who are you being when the water gets rough? Are you defaulting to a consciousness of worry and fear and self-doubt? Or are you allowing joy and peace and happiness to be the predominant energy that you lead with? Now, I can tell you, I have been in the situation as an entrepreneur when I had invoice that was, over 90 days out due, that I had, contractors to pay, and the client is not paying me on time. And then, at that moment, all I could do was surrender. At that moment, all I could do was choose joy, choose happiness, choose to be still and know that everything is always working out for my highest good. So I'm asking you, if you're going through a challenge right now, I know it may seem hard, right? And I don't expect you to go from anger or depression all the way to feeling the, supreme joy. I'm just saying, be mindful, be aware of how you're feeling, right? Because your thoughts and your emotions are writing the script for your future right now. So in this present moment, ask yourself, who am I being? Who am I being? So that's one of the questions that you should ask yourself when you find yourself in choppy waters. That's one of the questions you should ask yourself when you find yourself feeling like you might be a little bit overwhelmed, right? Connect. Be still. Call on joy. Call on freedom. Call on peace and perseverance. And I promise you, you will feel a little bit better in that moment. And before long, the cycle that you're in will pass, because everything passes. Everything passes. So again, here are some navigation tips. Breathe. Breathe. Put your hands over your heart. Connect with your heartbeat, connect with your breath, and breathe. Shift your perspective. Maybe there's another way to look at whatever the situation is that you're going through. Shift your perspective. Shift your energy. Get up, dance, watch your favorite movie, right? And most importantly, get clear about who you are, your core values, your purpose, and your why, and allow that to anchor you. Allow that to be your guiding force. Allow that to be your anchor as you're going through or navigating choppy waters in life. And then one thing that works for me very well, and I could tell you, I have been through some moments in my life. I've lost a child, I've lost a pregnancy, I've had 2 divorces, and I have to tell you that the thing that got me through my divorce, the thing that got me through homelessness, the thing that got me through immense amount of fear and self-doubt was anchoring myself in a spiritual practice. Now, it could look like whatever it needs to look like for you, right? But this helps to press the reset button every day. It helps to, kind of still your mind so that you can hear and you can be guided towards a solution. So for me, what that looks like is meditation, practicing mindfulness, moving my body every day, being of service to other people. You've heard me say this before, that abundance is a cycle of giving and receiving, that you can be the channel through which abundance flow from you to the world, just as someone else could be the channel through which abundance flow to you. And then affirmations. This is what I do. These are my spiritual practice in addition to affirmative prayer, right? So figure out what it will be for you. It may well be, whatever it is for you. But I think it's very, very important as a mom, as an entrepreneur, as a student of life. It's very important for you to get connected to source in whatever way. For me, I call that source God. For you, you might call it something different, but it's very, very important for you to ask for support from source, the ancestors, friends, family, colleagues, but you don't have to go through life by yourself. You don't have to navigate the choppy waters of life alone. There's support, right? And so I really encourage you, no matter what you're going through right now, take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. Connect back to your why. Connect back to your purpose, your core values. Grab onto them. And then anchor yourself in your spiritual practice so that every day, every time you go outside and you walk in nature, every time you meditate, every time you practice mindfulness and call up joy and peace and perseverance, every time you do that, right? The environment, your external environment may feel challenging, but on the inside, there is peace. On the inside, there's joy. On the inside, there's happiness. On the inside, there's a feeling of freedom. And I promise you, success is an inside-out job. The more you feel that on the inside, it has to show up on the outside. That's law. It has to show up on the outside. Because if you're feeling joy, you're feeling happiness, it's hard for you to be worried about what's not happening and who's not doing what. Because guess what? You are taking care of how you feel. You're taking care of your inner life. You're taking care of your inner soul, your inner spirit. And as a result, abundance must follow. Health must follow, right? Because you get more of what you focus on. You get more of what you focus on. And I have to tell you, this moment, if anybody would have told me that I would have gone through a level 4 rapid and come out laughing and smiling, right? Instead of feeling deathly afraid, I would have called them a liar. But I'm living proof that it's possible, not just on the river, but also in life, right? It is possible to come out on the other end in smooth, calm waters again. So hear me when I tell you, you are destined for greatness. You deserve to be happy. You deserve to be loved. You are beautiful. You are prosperous. Abundance is your birthright. Abundance is your birthright. Health is your birthright. Stand up straight, take a deep breath, and really sit in who you are, sit in whose you are, sit in your greatness, and know that all is well. Everything is working out for your highest good. Remember, always be kind and loving to yourself. You deserve it. Be well. I'll see you back here on Friday for Lauderhill Business Spotlight.